This $30 device makes ice from fire. It needs no compressor, no freon, no electricity, and no grid connection. Yet it can pull heat out of a sealed chamber using nothing but a temperature difference and a puff of trapped air. Despite being proven for over 200 years, it doesn't appear on a single federal appliance efficiency list. It's called a Stirling engine. And when you run it in reverse, it becomes a refrigerator that runs on a candle. By the end, you'll know what it is, how it works, and why the cooling industry pretends it doesn't exist. Let's dive in. Right now, the average American household spends between $250 and $400 a month on electricity during summer. That is over $3,000 a year sent to a utility company just to keep your food cold and your rooms livable. And if you have looked into replacing your central air conditioner, you already know the alternatives are not cheap. A basic mid-tier AC unit runs between $5,000 and $8,000 after installation. High-efficiency heat pump systems push past $15,000. The compressors alone, the ones every HVAC contractor pushes as the heart of the system, cost between $1,500 and $3,000 to replace when they fail. And here is the part nobody puts in the sales brochure. Those compressors are rated for roughly 10 to 15 years of duty. When they degrade, you replace them at full retail. That is not cooling independence. That is a subscription plan dressed up in copper coils and sheet metal. And the refrigerants themselves are not getting cheaper. The EPA's phase-out of R-22 in 2020 sent recharge costs from $50 per pound to over $150 per pound. R-410A is now on the same phase-out trajectory. You are paying more than ever for a system that leaks a chemical that will be illegal to refill within the decade. The physics beneath your kitchen has been moving heat against a gradient since before your grandfather was born. It does not degrade. It does not require a service contract. And it does not care whether the power is on or off. The real question is not whether a Stirling engine works. The science on that was settled in 1816. The real question is what happens when you flip the cycle backwards and point that motion at a sealed chamber. That is where this technology stops being a curiosity and starts being a threat to a $130 billion industry. A Stirling engine is a closed-cycle heat engine. The principle is one you already know. If you have ever watched a hot air balloon rise, you have seen half of the Stirling cycle. Heat air, it expands. Cool it, it contracts. Robert Stirling took that expansion and contraction, sealed it inside a metal cylinder with a moving piston, and converted the pressure swing into mechanical motion. He demonstrated it in 1816 by sealing a fixed volume of air between two chambers separated by a mesh regenerator. That sealed engine became the first true alternative to the steam engine in history. Now, here is the magic. Reverse it. Drive it externally instead of letting heat drive it. The pistons now force the trapped gas to expand on one side and compress on the other. Expansion cools. Compression heats. One end drops below freezing. The other end gets hot enough to burn your hand. You have just built a refrigerator with no refrigerant. A small Stirling cooler can produce a temperature difference of 80 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit between its hot and cold ends. The cold side, when insulated, easily drops to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. That is cold enough to freeze water. That is cold enough to preserve food. Scaled up, a commercial Stirling cryocooler can reach negative 320 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the temperature of liquid nitrogen. That is enough to preserve human tissue, cool infrared satellite sensors, and liquefy natural gas. And none of it requires a single ounce of Freon, R22, R410A, or any of the chemicals the modern HVAC industry has built its entire supply chain around. Unlike a compressor-based air conditioner, a Stirling engine does not care what fuel drives it. It runs on any temperature difference. Candle flame, wood fire, solar concentrator, waste heat from your stove. In a region with any heat source at all, your cooling power is functionally permanent. If you think this is new, you are off by about 200 years. In 1816, a Scottish minister named Robert Stirling filed patent number 4081 for what he called an economizer. He was 26 years old, working out of his parish in Ayrshire. His motivation was safety. Steam boilers of the era exploded regularly, killing workers. Stirling's engine ran at atmospheric pressure with a sealed volume of air. It could not explode. In 1834, John Herschel proposed running the cycle in reverse to produce ice in tropical climates. And in 1873, Alexander Kirk actually built the first successful Stirling refrigerator at a paraffin oil works in Bathgate, Scotland. It ran for over a decade. Trade journals covered it, and then it disappeared from history. By the 1890s, ammonia-based vapor compression refrigeration had taken over. It required a proprietary refrigerant that manufacturers could sell on repeat. The Stirling refrigerator, which required nothing but a heat source, offered no recurring revenue. It quietly vanished from the commercial market. In 1946, Philips Research Laboratory in the Netherlands revived the technology under J.W.L. Kohler. Their patents, granted as U.S. Patent 2,907,175 in 1955, allowed them to reach cryogenic temperatures with fewer moving parts than any vapor compression system. By the 1950s, Philips-built Stirling cryocoolers were sold to research labs and military contractors. NASA later used derivatives on their HESI Solar Observatory and on the AIRS instrument aboard the Aqua satellite. In 1971, American engineer William Beale invented the free-piston Stirling engine at Ohio University. His engines are cooling the mid-infrared instrument on the James Webb Space Telescope at negative 447 degrees Fahrenheit right now, over 1 million miles from Earth. In 2018, NASA Glenn Research Center published a peer-reviewed study on Stirling cooling for lunar habitats. Their unit achieved 60% of the theoretical Carnot efficiency limit. A standard household air conditioner operates at roughly 15 to 20%. The Stirling unit was 3 times more efficient than the appliance in your window. In Japan, Twinbird Corporation has been manufacturing consumer-scale Stirling coolers since 2004. Their portable freezer reaches negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit and is used for transporting vaccines and blood plasma across the developing world. So if this technology predates the light bulb by 63 years and was confirmed by NASA in orbit, why isn't it on a single Energy Star list? Because the system was never designed to accommodate something you can build for $30. There is no Stirling cooler industry. There is no residential trade association. There is no AHRI certification for a sealed metal tube driven by a candle. And without AHRI certification, no building inspector will approve it. No homeowner's insurance will cover it. No utility will offer a rebate. This is not a ban. It is structural invisibility. The American HVAC market generates over $130 billion a year in revenue. That revenue depends on refrigerant sales and mandatory service contracts. A Stirling cooler generates no invoice. It requires no refrigerant refill. It needs no annual service. It creates no recurring revenue for any party in the supply chain. No one conspired to suppress it. The frameworks that govern American cooling were simply written for products that scale, products that can be manufactured, shipped, and financed through approved channels. A machine you can assemble from a sealed metal chamber, and a candle does not clear a single one of those gates. The Stirling engine is a 200-year-old answer to a question the modern cooling industry was never designed to ask. It does not replace your grid-tied VAC or compete with central air for raw tonnage. But for the cost of a sealed metal tube and a candle flame, it gives you continuous cooling that runs on any heat differential, the same thermodynamics Robert Stirling demonstrated in 1816. A lot of what this channel covers was nearly lost, not because it stopped working, but because the system was never designed to accommodate something that does not generate a monthly invoice. If discovering the lost science of cooling self-sufficiency matters to you, subscribing is the simplest way to make sure this knowledge keeps being found. If you had a candle and $30 to spend, would you build a Stirling cooler? Or would you still reach for a compressor fridge that costs 30 times more and dies in 10 years? Drop it in the comments.